Alrighty everyone, now given that we have just a couple of more days to go until Indiana Jones The Dial of Destiny releases in theaters on June 30th, there's a lot of other things happening behind closed doors over at Disney with the regards of Elemental and The Little Mermaid, and a lot more looming for Disney future failures. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. And let's get right into exactly what's going on here with Bob Iger, the Disney execs, as well as other major things related to Indiana Jones 5. Now, one thing is for certain is that we know that people out there like Kathleen Kennedy, James Mangold, and Steven Spielberg, as well as Phoebe Waller-Bridge, have really been endlessly trying to lift up the spirits of The Dial of Destiny, regardless of a lot of reviewers in Hollywood really disliking this film, and Disney was really counting on people like that to give the movie a very great review, and it really turned pretty much on its own. You know, we know that there's a lot of reviewers out there, even in the Hollywood sphere, that do not like this movie, and that's really not a good sign, to say the least. So let's get right into exactly what Bob Iger had to say about all of this, related to the fan backlash, related to the supposed fan boycott, as they like to call it, and as well as everything related to the box office projections. So, with Disney CEO Bob Iger promoting both Indy 5, Elemental, and more to do with The Little Mermaid PR, he recently got on the subject of the fan backlash to Indy 5 and more to do with the box office projections. Now, Bob Iger went on to state the following to fans briefly. He delivered the following: "I just wanted to address the reported box office projections for this film that are not in any way accurate. We have a great trajectory on our end for how this film is going to perform, and though we did have some mishaps with our films like Elemental and Little Mermaid, we don't see the same applying with The Dial of Destiny. We advise all fans of this franchise to check out this film by Mr. Mangold. That is all." Now, apart from what Iger stated here, however, behind closed doors, behind the scenes, Bob Iger had a heated argument and series of very big conversations between himself and the Disney board, as well as the Disney executives, over what they are calling a fan boycott of Indy 5, and the box office projections being very much accurate. Now, this is something that both Iger and the board are getting into multiple arguments about. While Iger is calling it a boycott, so to speak, the execs and the board have come to realize that Indy 5 is just a film that fans have zero interest in and have no reason to check out this movie whatsoever. So let me stop here for a second. Now, these heated arguments happening between Iger, the executives, the board, and how there is a big shakeup over at Disney right now regarding The Dial of Destiny, it goes to show you that Bob Iger is in trouble. Big time. Now, for starters, everything really kind of began with the downfall of the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel. I'm sure that you guys are very well aware about that. The Star Wars Hotel, or the Experience, whatever you guys want to call it, is going to be closing by this September, and it will be bulldozed within 1 year. And they're still trying to figure out exactly whether or not they want to just rebrand it into something new, or if they want to do something where it could be around the lines of just a regular Star Wars themed hotel. I think the latter is the way to go, to be honest, but don't create another experience like Galactic Star Cruiser, because it just does not work unless it's going to be something oriented with the original trilogy and the original trilogy characters, right? So, moving on to the next thing here. This is where things begin to get very, very involved. Now, on top of this, it's a constant back and forth between Iger and the higher-ups over at Disney, and it's very likely at this point that Iger will be let go by 2024 before he decides to step down in time by creating a better legacy for himself with both Star Wars, Marvel, and more related to Disney parks. Iger is reportedly very frightened over the turnout over the Indy 5 Dial of Destiny film, as this will be the third movie in a row by Disney underperforming than expected, as it is going to give Disney an even worse track record for success versus failure. Iger is about to make another statement for Indy 5 in the coming days, just before its release date, concerning the low interest in the film to get people into the theater seats. Now guys, I've been having a lot of you coming forward to me, reporting about your regions, about what the theater seats are looking like, how many people are pre-purchasing tickets in advance, and it's not looking good, guys. It's really not looking good. I've had people come forward from California, from New York, from Florida, you know, all these Fandango ticket purchases and stuff like that, you know, really getting their tickets sold. It's not looking good for a lot of their theaters and a lot of their theater seats for multiple showtimes in comparison to other films out there, for example, like what Top Gun Maverick performed as. And that just goes to show that this movie is not going to perform well in the least. Top movie critics out there have really been just endlessly bombing this movie, review bombing it, and rightfully so, for valid reasons. And there's multiple reasons going into this thing why Bob Iger is trying to really convince fans to check the movie out, because they know they're going to lose so much money on this thing. They gambled, and they gambled terribly by dialing back, no pun intended, on really just not putting the money into the marketing of this thing. You know, I've had so many of you say how a lot of you have not seen a lot of ads, and if it weren't for myself and other people out there talking about this thing, you wouldn't even have known about Indy 5 and its release date on June 30th. That's how bad the marketing has been. And look, Disney has more than enough backup money to pour into marketing. There's no excuse as to why they couldn't do that. Well, the answer is that they never really had confidence in this film. That's what it really equals out to. And that's really the true tragedy of Indiana Jones 5. Not only did they miss so many markers on this film and so many opportunities, but they really did miss a lot of chances to promote it properly in comparison to things out there like what Tom Cruise did with Top Gun and now Mission Impossible 7. So anyways, there's a lot of things going on with Disney right now. They are just constantly going into failure after failure after failure. And it really makes you wonder, what is going to happen to Disney by 2025? You know, where are they going to stand roughly, you know, give or take 2 years from now? That's the biggest problem. And that's the biggest, you know, vision right now by the Disney executives. Do they pull the plug on Bob Iger or not prematurely? That's the biggest question on their end. Because they need somebody else to take control. And they need somebody else that's going to outperform both himself and Bob Chapek. And they realize that. They know that at this point, because 3 movies in a row underperforming and not meeting expectations is really just the worst of what Disney has gone through in a very, very long time, mind you. And it's only going to continue to go in a downward spiral. And look, I'm not here just to be pessimistic just for the sake of being pessimistic. I'm a diehard Star Wars fan. I'm a diehard Indiana Jones fan. I don't wish bad for anything, but it's just inescapable almost. We can't just shake what Disney is doing to our beloved franchises, and that's the true tragedy as well. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below, fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon,